if you look at that from top down, the first is mean, central tendency, and then 95% confidence interval for the mean. That is the range where the mean falls. I just explained it. And then some trimmed mean, just extra information about central tendency estimate. And then median, we know that's another central tendency statistic. Variance, the variability statistic, standard deviation, minimum, maximum range, and then the interquartile range. And then these last two, these are the distribution statistics we're looking at. One part of the information for this assignment. But for descriptives, to fill out the first table, the mean and then standard deviation will do. So if we switch back to the worksheet, the first table here asks you to complete the table with the descriptive information from your output. And so we have that, the sample size, 11 for each. So it's 11 for each. And what is the data level for each, or the scale of measurement?
Be ordinal or interval in this case, because yes.
Remember, these are actually all sum scores.
So ratio.
There are 5 items for each, and we add them up. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
So these are all total scores. That should be ratio level data. And so that's the same for all 3. And the minimum to maximum, we can get information from here, right here, 15 to 33. So we can just fill it up, get information from the table. And this is extremely helpful, especially when you have larger data set, because with just the 3 variables, 11 record, is easy. We just look at the data and see what's the lowest, what's the highest, right? What if you have 1,000 people and you look at hundreds of variable things? You give them tests, all kinds of physical examination. It is impossible to view like with bare eyes, basically, and find that. And that in that case, we have to rely on statistical software, and it is really convenient to just get a table like this, so you know all the information and have an idea of what a data distribution is like. And so with that said, you can fill out the first table of descriptives, and the purpose of doing this is, if we look at the descriptives, the mean is 25, and standard error is 1.49, and the maximum and minimum is 15 to 33. And we know for college experience, there are 5 items, and each one, 5 questions. Each one I ask you to rate on a scale 1 to 7, right? And if we add that up, there will be a range of 5 to 35. And 35 is the most you can get, and 5 is the least you can get. And in this case, the minimum and the maximum is 15 to 33. I would say it's kind of, probably, I'm not sure yet, but from the range, probably most of you got kind of high or mean towards high college experience. That's what the information you get from that. And then we have the standard deviation. It is almost a 5. That means on average, the individual difference score is 5. If you get 20, he or she may get 15 or 25 on average, the difference. So that's how your college experience may differ from one another. Does that make sense, how you interpret the results, the average and the variability and the range? So that's how you get descriptives. That's the first table. And then there's the second table called tests of normality. And with the information here, we move on to the next table in your worksheet. which is on the normality of each variable. And I give you a table because I don't want you to navigate all the information, and especially this is additional. This one is additional, not included in your text in details, but this is very important for all inferential tests. I have to introduce you to this. And there are 3 pieces of information when you look at a normality. One is visual, and you are familiar with this, is the histogram with the bell curve.